Women voters decide elections. When we look back at the 2020 presidential election results, we are going to see that women, in particular, are going to be crucial to deciding the winner of the presidential election. The 1920 presidential election was really the first election that women had the right to vote. And in 1920, a lot of the men in power feared a petticoat hierarchy. But women tended to vote with their husbands if they turned out to vote at all. It took 60 years for there to be an actual gender gap in voting choice. You see with the civil rights movement, a lot of these women who had participated in that beginning in the 50s and the 60s also morphed that into the feminist revolution that really we see in the 1970s. So you have civil rights legislation, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that also included women, and so for really the first time, preventing discrimination against women. So women were entering the halls of colleges and law schools and medical schools and sort of getting out of the home. And that becomes particularly important when we look at voting, because the government and being involved in politics was always seen as the public sphere and a realm that women weren't necessarily invited to. So this is beginning to change in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s as women are entering the workforce, are being able to decide on their own which presidential choice and others down ballot that they want. When you look at the women voters and you look at the presidential campaigns and which women the campaigns are targeting, the fact that they really understand that women voters decide elections, I think is something that the suffragists in 1920 that celebrated the passage of the 19th Amendment and women being able to vote are finally seeing some of these differences play out. And I think suburban women in particular are going to be the ones to look at because those are going to be the swing voters. And whether they vote for the Republican candidate or they vote for the Democratic candidate, I think is going to decide this election.